All right, welcome back to Fiverr Talks. My name is Joel Young, as always, and today on the program, we're going to give you a little motivation for your Monday, talking about how to become a full-time seller on Fiverr. That's right. We're going to be talking about one of the hottest questions out there. How do I make this my full-time gig? Many of you not just want to know how do I become a top-rated seller, but how do I earn enough income? How do I get to the point where this is all I do, where I don't need my 9 to 5, where I can control everything and do this as my main thing? But before we do that, I just want to approach the many of you out there that are part-time sellers, side hustle sellers. And this is a fun, creative thing for you to do on top of what you do as your 9 to 5 job. I just want to say that is perfectly fine. If being a full-time freelancer is not what you're after, it's not your goal, then I think that's totally great. It's not for everybody. It's not the end goal for everybody. Many of you would love for it to be, but I realize it's not for everybody. In fact, I would estimate, if I were making guesses, that only about 10% of sellers on Fiverr are full-time freelancers, and an even smaller subset of those sellers are full-time just on Fiverr. So I think that it's a very small minority of people that actually get this to become their full-time thing, and for many it will only ever be a part-time thing, and that's totally fine. It can still change your life. You can still do great things if it's a side hustle or a hobby or just something you enjoy doing. But whatever it is for you, know that this advice can help you find that next step. Even if it's not becoming a full-time seller and making this your main thing, this can help you find that next step. And my goal is to pose some questions to you today. Some questions of substance that'll help you decide, what do I need to do to get to that next step? And if you do ultimately desire to become a full-time freelancer, control your own destiny, take your laptop wherever you want, open it up and work, then this should really help you today. But first, I want to pose a question of the day. That's for you to answer below in the comments. So our question of the day is, how many hours a week do you spend working on Fiverr projects? I want to know, how many hours a week do you spend working on Fiverr projects? And is it your goal to become a full-time seller? If not, what is your goal? Let me know your answers down below. And speaking of questions, this Friday I'm doing an exclusive video for our Fiverr Talks insiders over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/DJYoung, where I'm answering their questions, practical mentorship for the platform. And if you want to join in on that, there's still time. You could go over there today, join, starting at just $5 a month, whatever level you want to support, whatever value you're getting out of the channel. Send me your question. I'll try to answer it on the video, and you're going to really love the personal one-on-one mentorship you get by being a Fiverr Talks insider, and I'll love you for your support of this great channel. Okay, so enough of that. Today's question, the questions that will help you decide, how do you become a full-time seller on Fiverr, and when is the time right? You need to ask yourself, how much money do I need to make? How much money would I need to make this my full-time gig? And this is often a question that many people lowball. They're constantly thinking much lower than they need to because they think, well, I may make X amount of dollars per year, but I only need a smaller amount, a fraction of that, to live on. So if I made that, then I would be just fine, right? I would encourage you that when you're estimating, you should probably make sure that you can make more than what you make at your regular job as a freelancer, because you're going to be paying more expenses on your own. For instance, your employer probably has a group health insurance plan, gets you health coverage at a cut rate, something cheaper than you would get out on the open market yourself. And if you're a freelancer, you're responsible for that. They might have a retirement plan with matching, and if you're a freelancer, you're responsible for that. All of these things, maybe you get reimbursement, travel miles, an expense roll, all these things, equipment, computers, you're responsible for all of those things as a freelancer. So you have to make sure that you're making enough money, not just to live on, but to live on, run a business, pay not only your expenses, but pay for those benefits that an employer would often provide to you. So you need to ask yourself, before you go full-time, how much money do I need to make this work? And that can be your goal. That can be your end goal in mind, and say, when we reach this number, we can really start to think about what it might change for us or how we might do things differently going forward. The second question you need to ask is, how much security do you need? How much security do you need? And if you're married, is your spouse on board? That's a huge one, very important. Don't overlook it. Make sure your spouse is on board and that you feel secure enough in your ability to continue to find new clients, to fulfill orders in a positive way that it propels a business forward. How much security do you need to feel good about this? In a lot of ways, the answer to that question is, how long do I need to earn the income that meets that first number? How much do I need before I feel secure enough to make that jump? You know, my friend Dave Ramsey always says you want to take that boat all the way up to the dock before you jump off. You want to get as close to the dock as you can, or you'll end up in the water. And when you're deciding to go full-time as a freelancer, full-time on Fiverr, you need to make sure that you feel secure in your ability to earn that amount of money. So if you hit your number and earn that amount of money for 1 month, you probably need a little more security than that to take the jump. Earn it for 3, 4, 5. In my case, I did it for 6 months before I really felt comfortable making the jump, leaving my day job and going into freelancing full time. And that gave me the security knowing I could do it and that the business was going to continue to grow. So make sure you know what your number is and make sure you feel secure and have the right security to do that and take that step. The third question you should ask yourself is, what are my long-term goals? That's a really important question. And you need to ask yourself, is there a path for growth? In other words, are you topping out your market where you're at now? Are you only going to earn this much ever? Or is there a potential to earn even more as time goes on? That's a really important question to ask yourself. Is there space in your niche, in your market to grow? And is there a path for you to get there? I think it's really important for you to figure out what in the world your long-term goals are so that you can set goals intermediately in between that long-term time frame to get there. In other words, if your goal is to be a full-time freelancer, not have a day job in 5 years, what do you need to do this year to make that possible? Then what do you need to do in year 2 after you take that first step and then that third step? Break it down into shorter goals. But the only way to do that is to have long-term goals and say, is there a path to growth? Can I look forward and say, this is where I could go. This is where others in my industry have gone. That's a great way to look at it. There's always a trailblazer who gets there first and can earn more than anybody else in an industry or a niche. But a lot of times seeing what other people are earning or the possibility of earning or how many gigs they're selling is going to be a great indicator of what you could possibly do in the future. The next question you should ask yourself is, will I have the ability or the need to develop other revenue streams? You know, it is one giant ball of stress to have all your eggs in one basket. And unfortunately, Fiverr is only one basket. So even if you hit your number, say, I'd like to become a full-time freelancer, you hit your number, you maintain it for 6 months, you have to ask yourself, am I comfortable with Fiverr being my lone stream of income? Now, as we've said in other videos, Fiverr's a very steady company. It doesn't seem like Fiverr's going anywhere soon. I don't think so. I've been on the platform for over 7 years, almost 8 years, and it's done nothing but grow. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself, what if something happens with your account? What if you make a mistake? What if your sales go away because you blew something? You have to ask yourself, is it okay to have all your eggs in one basket? I believe it's worth an insurance policy, not a physical insurance policy, but a metaphorical insurance policy to have different revenue streams. You're selling over here, you're selling over there. You've got different things going on, so all your eggs aren't in one basket. And that goes back to developing some direct business, some local business, all of these things as you grow so that you can be secure in your growth. This is all pointing to smart and slow decisions. None of these things can be made quickly or decided quickly. They have to be slow and methodical and calculated and based on real data, real experience, not hopes, not desires, not would've, could've, should've things. And the final question I believe you should ask yourself if you'd like to go full-time on Fiverr is, will you enjoy doing this work and this work alone full-time as your job, 40 to 60 hours a week? Will you enjoy it? Because it is a shame when people spend a lot of time building to something, grabbing for a goal, and then finally attain it and realize they don't enjoy it. They might enjoy it as a side hobby. They might enjoy it as a side hustle, something fun to do on the weekends, something creative to keep their mind stimulated. But then if that's all they had to do, create things and get feedback from people and clients and deadlines, and you got to find your own health. And if you would not enjoy this as your full-time thing, don't run after that goal. Like I said at the beginning, it's totally okay for full-timing to not be your goal. But if it is, make sure that you're attaining a goal that you're going to enjoy when it is your only thing, your full-time thing. And when you finally grab that star, it doesn't burn you. Hey, thanks so much for joining me for this dose of Monday motivation. Come back Wednesday for our next video. And if you'd like to jump in and ask a question for our Patreon Insider exclusive video on Friday, well, then join me on Patreon, send me a message, and I will answer your question on that video come Friday. Really enjoying the community over there, all of you that are pitching in and becoming a part of that. I think we're all growing together as a family, the Fiverr Talks family. So don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, like if you liked the video, and leave me a comment for your answer to the question of the day. And until next time, as always, continue doing, because the future favors the doers.